Guys, are white women so clueless that they are being led down the alt-right pipeline? Or is plausible deniability become the new excuse to not take accountability? Guys, I'm G, welcome back to my channel, and let's get into my notes because right now we are seeing a rise of the alt-right white women. Right now, in this moment where women's rights are being dismantled, where men are becoming increasingly violent towards women, and white nationalism is starting to be accepted as a thing that's happening in our politics, does not seem like the moment where white women with large platforms should be having veiled dog whistles of racism and Nazism that they're sending out into the world. Not only that, it's really actually time for white women to decide who are they going to be getting behind? Who's going to be their queen? Because we saw recently 2 white women show how they're planning on using their platforms to either help the patriarchy or to rail against it. Hayley Williams recently went on Jimmy Kimmel, and she used her platform to speak out loud against the atrocities that are happening in the world.
They put up chain link fences underneath the biggest bridges. They pose in Christmas cards with guns as big as all their children.
Whereas Taylor Swift also went on to Jimmy Kimmel to reinforce patriarchy and white soft womanhood by basically saying this about her man.
I am in love with a guy who does that sport on that actual field. Like, that is violent chess. That is gladiators without swords. That is dangerous. I am, the whole season, I am locked in on what that man is doing on the field.
And this about herself.
And I'm like, I wonder what my choreo should be.
She did what every pick-me does to say, like, look how much better this man is than me, how much more deserving this man is for me. What I do is just diminutive in comparison to what he does. Mind you, she's the bigger star. She is the money maker in their relationship. She went on national TV reinforcing patriarchal ideas, which is ultimately a part of the alt-right ideologies that they want to uphold for women. My commentary about Taylor Swift's new album, where she talks about, or she calls out some really strange things regarding her current fiance's ex and women that he was, or a woman, Meg Thee Stallion, that he was interested in comparison to her. She's not a savage. She's not a baddie. She's like this pure, innocent, driven snow woman who's just here to love you, right? Is this really the time for that? Is this the time for these conversations in this manner? While this might be cringe in other periods of time, right now it seems very dangerous and it seems very purposeful, because when you start connecting all the dots of some of the queens of basic white women, you're starting to see a pattern. Taylor Swift's album and what she's doing right now looks like it's a part of a broader cultural shift amongst white women and where they're trying to convince them they want to go. And maybe Taylor Swift is just simply tapping into what she sees her fan base wanting, considering the fact that when she started dating her current fiance, a lot of her fans went super racist to Kayla Nicole's comments. But we don't have to concentrate on her and her fans, just the fact that she has so many of them, and that these same people are likely also consuming things like Tradwife content. Tradwife content is the alt-right's way of making domesticated women look like stars. These women have created platforms which basically look like they have a breeding kink, right? Like, that's what it seems like it comes down to. But they aren't even living up to what they're trying to imply you should do, which is do everything naturally, stay home, and just have babies. Let your husband do all of the other things. He needs to go out earn the living, blah, blah, blah. But these women are actually the breadwinners. These platforms are earning them millions and millions of dollars, and they are likely outperforming the very men that they're pretending are the providers. They're the providers. They're not even living up to the ideologies that they're trying to get regular women to live up to, because regular women aren't all going to be able to have such platforms. They're not all going to be able to do this in this way. And realistically, most people aren't going to be able to live with one income and 900 children. Like, I don't care how much butter you're churning on your own, because I guarantee you these women have staff now. They have staff, and they are trying to trick women into thinking otherwise. Part of the reason that the algorithm is pushing this out is because they want more, specifically white women, to have leave it to beaver dreams, right? You don't recognize that these people just have breeding kinks and they're making millions of dollars as a result of that. What does the alt-right want from these women? Conservatism and nationalism. Because you kind of always see something about, conservative values coming out in this content. Their backgrounds of the American flag with a rifle in the corner is not coincidental. It's not at all coincidental, but it starts to seem normal as part of like their lifestyles. But it's also it's also what the alt-right wants family life to look like. That's the idea. Women isolated in the middle of nowhere. A lot of like content with these tradwives, they start talking about how they don't need anyone else. They don't need any other friends. They don't need any other women in their lives. They just need their man and their children, and that's it. Can you imagine? The thing that stands out when other women call it out, women of color, women of other groups say, do you see what's happening right now? Plausible deniability kicks in. That could be anything. It's just a woman who wants to take care of her family. It's just, traditional values, traditional American style values. And who's always talking about that? Pretty much the alt-right. And I think that people keep using this plausible deniability and this idea that these women are innocent and ignorant as a way to let this be the new normal. Take the Sweeney gene eugenics ad that came out and all of the backlash around that. Oh no, it's not that deep. It's not that deep. It's just she's talking about her blue jeans. Listen to people who might know something more than you. Listen to people who know history a little bit more than you. The thing is, all of this is not new. How they decide to try and manipulate women particularly, because guess what? It won't work without us. It won't work without women actually signing on. And that's what they want from women. They want you to want to do it. So they create things that make it look like, well, that would be a nice life. Just, at home, churning butter and popping out babies while some man is supposedly earning a living. And you're doing all of that in addition to trying to make everything from scratch and grow your own garden. And you're assuming you never really see these men doing as much as the women are doing, usually, because that's not the message. The message is for you to want to do it. And the lie is that these women are the workers, not just in the sense of the home, but in the sense of creating social media and platforms to earn money to support everyone. They're not even living the life that they're trying to sell to the rest of the world. So far, it seems like despite how we try and explain these things to them, they will go back to, I didn't know that was a thing, when so many people are trying to tell them, and you're not listening. You're not listening at all. Like, the shield of I don't know is one, or I didn't know, that white women use, plays into the role that they're innocent, that they are unaware that these things are being taught to them and they're being shaped by it, and that it's purposeful, and they like it to a certain extent. So they don't want it to be something bad. And after all, how could it be bad when they've always been able to play the innocent role? Lana Del Rey is another woman with a large platform who came on this scene like she was very liberal and open, but now we're starting to see the pull back. Lana Del Rey using high fashion as a way to reinforce purity ideologies, and people start calling it out, but her fans make excuses for her. They don't want to see her in the way that she is displaying herself to be. What woman who is liberal and open and has all of these values that are real going to go out and marry a pro-Trump cop? How can you keep making excuses for a woman like this? You think she's innocent. You think she just fell in love. You can't help who you fall in love with. It implies that women do not have any autonomy over the choices that they make. Any man can just come through and you just fall in love despite your value differences, despite your ideology differences. What does that mean about women in general? It doesn't mean that they have any authority over themselves, because, well, love, it can do that to you, especially someone who is so innocent and pure. You just needed love to open your eyes. Do you guys see the problem with this? So while her fans keep pretending it's just art, she's just an artist, you know, these things, art is important. Art is the reason. Art is inspiring. Art creates revolutions. Art, Trump knows that. That's why he's trying to destroy so much of it. Why he put himself in charge of public artworks that exist in the United States. Because they don't want artists to be able to speak. I mean, it happened during civil rights. It happened during Reconstruction. It's happened all through history where even, you know, Hitler was great at, they destroyed or kept so much art because they know that artists and music actually shapes our social consciousness in so many different ways. So when you have Hayley Williams singing what she sings, saying what she's saying, you're going to have to decide, am I a Hayley Williams girl, or am I a Taylor Swift, Lana Del Rey victim? We look at fashion and how it's been used over time to create modesty in women, to reshape how we are supposed to expect the world to treat us based on what we're wearing and what we look like. What we're wearing becomes very interesting. Taylor Swift's new lightning bolt jewelry, even if it is not veiled Nazi symbolism, it is symbolism that is reckless in the world that we live in right now. And we cannot ignore the fact that Taylor Swift's fans have used racism against women, Black women, in the past, in the recent past. For her to be so reckless and careless and not care what that looks like and how it can be dangerous for other women. I'm not sure that she can continue to claim ignorance at this point. It feels like complicity. And if her fans aren't going to reject this, that is a statement of where plausible deniability is being used again and again to make excuses for what's happening within whiteness and white women. I had a scary moment like some time ago, maybe it was like a year ago. I was here in Italy getting on the train with my kids, and I saw a man with those tattoos, right? And he had those S symbol tattoos, and I think a swastika on his other arm, and very obvious like racist symbolism. I knew that he was unsafe. So now that we're going to have a bunch of Taylor Swift fans out here who apparently are not racist, but get to play in the Nazi fashion world, because why not? How do you know who's safe? How do you know that you're not helping Nazis hide among you? Are you okay with that? Like, are you okay with blending in with the Nazi groups? Is that the message? Because if her team doesn't think that her fans are going to have a visceral reaction, and so far it doesn't seem like they care that much, because, you know, it's not, it could be anything. You know, the fact that there's 4 lightning bolts on each side that comes up to 8, and a lot of Nazis think the letter, you know, associate the number 8 with the letter H because, well, it's the 8th letter of the alphabet, yada, yada, yada. Who knows? It's just coincidence, irresponsible coincidence, and completely ignorant of why it could be dangerous. Or maybe they're not. Maybe they're not ignorant, and then that's a whole different conversation. Maybe they're not ignorant of the fact that this creates a danger, and they just simply don't care. We can keep just going, oh, it's just, you know, homemaking content. Oh, it's just a song. It's just jewelry. It's just creates so many plausible deniability to be your new shield. Your new shield of innocence, your new shield of the unknown, your new shield of, I just didn't know. But then the consequences fall on to other people in a multitude of ways. And that's what it starts to come down to. If you are the only ones in the world, and I guess maybe sometimes you think you are, or you want to be, you just don't care about what is happening and how it affects Black women, Latino women, other women of color all over the world, because you get to have your innocence protected and pretend you're still little girls when you're grown-ass women. You're making choices to support people that are playing in your face. They're playing in your face, and they're leading you to your own demise, happily and quietly. And when plausible deniability doesn't work, when you're in bad situations because you've ignored the reality that you have been being pulled down the alt-right pipeline, then where will we be but Gilead? And the craziest thing is that in the end, after the fallout, after they realize that they're in a position that they don't want to be in, they'll still be the victims of their own choices, and somehow expect for everyone else to save them, even though their bad choices have so much harder consequences on the rest of us. Guys, if you have not already subscribed to my channel, I would love to talk to you in the comments. So ciao for now.